Hello? Okay, well, we're already live. I've apparently messed up things with my mic. One sec.
Oh.
It's like the first time that my mic has worked without my webcam breaking. Usually it's the other way around. Do I sound okay? Is it using the right mic at least? So nothing's super broken? Okay, let me make sure I'm not using my like webcam mic for the stream here. That looks okay too. Alright, we're just gonna assume that's like one small hiccup and the only small hiccup we'll have for today. Hopefully. And ideally. But we got a lot of best of threes. We also got some giveaways going on in chat. If you guys haven't seen, we got 2 giveaways that are going to be happening. Number 1 is like a longer giveaway. This one's going to end the day before Christmas. If you type !giveaway in chat, it'll link you to the BaseTradeTV Christmas giveaway. I want to give back to 3 people this holiday season. We'll be adding more prizes to the list as we can acquire them, but right now there are 3 prizes available. There's the Corsair Void wireless headset I showed off on stream last week. Brand new, out of the box, not been touched before. You can get a pairing of the Rainer and Kieran Pop Vinyl figurines if you'd like, or you can get a coupon code over on Yord. Of course, that'll be available to whoever wins, so good luck and have fun to the top 3. Then we have today's giveaway. We're going to be giving away 3 $100 watch codes. You guys can redeem on the Woodwash site for any of the watches on their website. $100 straight up. ! Yord in chat. The winner for that will be drawn tomorrow, probably right around the time we do the Corsair Cup. In fact, 3 winners again for that. The magic of 3s. But we do have a group style format, so let me just go to the bracket. I spent some time. Tried to make it look nice. Zombie Grub can't see it, but hopefully you guys can. We've got match 1, match 2, losers match, then the winners match, then the finals. There's prize money on the line for today, and of course, winning first place in the group is going to be the same as winning first place in the tournament. And that's where all the big bucks are, but I'm pretty much good to go whenever they are. Are you all Gucci on your end?
You know, I think I might be.
Cool. Let's see here. First place prize for this is going to be $250. Second place will be $100, and third and fourth place will get $50 each. So everybody who's playing today is going to get a little bit of cash.
Cool.
I keep muting myself, so unfortunately Zombie Grub has to hear me cough up my lung. I'm feeling a little bit sick, I guess. Not good.
Oh no. I actually I wanted to go like full Koreaboo and like kind of get a little sick, so I had an excuse to buy one of those masks that they wear.
But
I figure
you just do that anyways, regardless?
No, because honestly, I'd never really wear it in America. At least I don't. I mean, maybe I would. I mean, it's like a terrible idea.
Like, you don't want to get your mother sick. And besides, maybe you might not wear it in America, but would you wear it in France?
Huh, that's an interesting question. Would I? I don't know.
Well, we got some resubs to kick off our day, so before we get into the match, big thank you to Glibberp for the 13 months. This is more than a year. Wow. Yeah, I like that name. Thank you to as well, Cabin, it looks like Bibimbop, Khabib MD, medical doctor. New sub hype. Drag and Drop Dota also got us with a sub a little bit earlier today, and hopefully that's everybody. But we have a very quick and slick probe. I don't think it's up to no good, but it's a fast scout to this guy in the top right. It's the Blue Zerg Team Liquid's Snute.
In the bottom left, as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
Alright, so Snute actually has played a lot of StarCraft already this morning, Zombie Grub.
Has he?
Yes, he won this morning's Go for StarCraft Cup.
Yeah.
So shout out to Snute.
I did not see it, of course, but I did read about it.
Well, so here's the question. Was him winning Go for StarCraft this morning a really great amount of warm-up and practice for this tournament, or is he going to be worn out and tired from having already played an entire tournament?
Actually, I think it's probably like a pretty good warm-up. Plus, I think it's a difference of like time too, and Go for StarCraft's like an okay time for them. This is like, yeah, it would have started like, you know. Okay, I was gonna say my time, but of course I'm thinking like Eastern Standard Time when I do these things. And it's just this is too hard. But point is, I'm pretty sure it's decent time for him. So it's probably just a good warm up, which I think is really, you know, important to have, because ShoWTimE's actually been like one of the best Protosses in this. Well, I guess it's the newest patch, so I can't say that anymore. But before the newest patch, he was the best.
We should report on that too. Some people are confused, and there's definitely some confusion specifically regarding Shoutcraft about this yesterday. There was a micro patch, I want to call it almost. Like, it's a pretty decent balance change, but it didn't require a server restart. It didn't require anyone other than just like restarting their clients. They had a couple of changes, and the one that affects this matchup is Hydralisks no longer have range 7 with their upgrade. It's back to simply range 6. So they now match the range of a lot of Protoss units, but no longer outrange all of them.
Right. I mean, technically, there's other things changed with these races, but that is the one that was dominant in the dynamics of ZvP. But like the Tempests got their spell taken away, and the Immortal no longer can cast Barrier, like micro wise, which I think is a really questionable thing.
I really can only think of ShoWTimE and Patience as the only two players I remarked seeing do the turn off autocast and micromanage the Immortal Barrier. The trade-off for this, by the way, for those who might be like, wait, that's a little unfair, that's a little punishing, is it does have a much shorter cooldown now. I think it's down by like almost 8 or 12 seconds, somewhere in that region, so Barrier comes back up much quicker.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's an okay trade-off, and like people really didn't use it. But I mean, one of the reasons that they stated they wanted to take it away, as well as the Tempests. Well, the Tempests are just like not being used, but was that there's too many abilities for Protoss, and I'm like, okay, I can understand that, but I don't think that the Immortal Barrier was the one that like you should have taken away, basically. But I mean, anyways, the point is there's some of the things that changed, but it doesn't really affect usually in this matchup. So we did have a lot of lings being made, and I was surprised. I mean, these would usually just cancel a third base, but ShoWTimE's still kind of completing the build that every Protoss has been going to. Yeah. So it'd be kind of surprising if Snute thought he'd be able to cancel a third base, because like literally, like ShoWTimE too has been doing this build every single time, and you just don't, you wouldn't have the third base down yet. I think these are just like in case Adepts came out, and if it was a third, Nexus, then he could totally cancel it. But it's a little bit of map control, and now he knows what his opponent's doing.
There's a couple things to be said, too, about this. First off, thank you, by the way, for those who've been sharing bits. We don't have notifiers for it, but I see SnowPython in chat, so excited for all the wood. Yeah, make sure to check out the sponsor links and all that, guys. And don't forget about the giveaways we have going in chat. But I was going to point out, ShoWTimE's doing what we saw Zest and a couple other people doing with this double-layered wall. And while we haven't seen a lot of it in tournament play, I'm really wondering if Baneling busts are becoming more of an issue. Or, like, just the wall being torn down through some various all-in.
Yeah, well, more on that, as the DTs are doing a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Snute
barely
not
has to pick them up.
Quite as prepared as he should have been. I think maybe he was depending on the Queens being in position a little more to, like, scare ShoWTimE away, or maybe just expecting the Archon drops and not the DT ones, but 8 workers is decent, obviously not devastating, but like seriously, the ideal way to deal with these drops is actually like not take any damage at all, because what's even like harder to do is whatever follow-up they choose to do, which like might be on 2 bases if they're really all in. It might be on 3 and you have some time, but you'd be surprised how much like these DT drops, the Archon drops continuously, assuming you don't lose the Warp Prism, can actually really wear and tear on the Zerg's macro.
Well, a little bit of trouble over at the third base for ShoWTimE. Snootsling's managed to get on top of not just Adepts, Zealots, and Stalkers, but anything warping in, and he's actually getting quite the amount of kills out of these upgrade-less Lings. I guess upgrade-less isn't totally true. They do have speed, but point is, get some kills, which isn't something too often small amounts of Lings can do. Right now, the Warp Prism still has those 2 Archons in it, pretty much unscathed. He never really got to get too much of the main. He did go back in, but had to pull back, so for ShoWTimE's sake, I mean, there's still potential, but the longer it takes him to do damage with these, the less potential there is.
Sure. Well, the Archons, I mean, at any point they can get that really nice, like, splash on the drones, or on the Lings, actually. Like, even taking out, okay, that was a mistake. Even taking out the army supply and forcing Snute to reinvest in more Lings to take care of it, it's actually, like, worth it. So, ShoWTimE's going to find out this 4th, too. I've already seen it.
Got really close to that Spore Crawler, too. A small mistake out of ShoWTimE, so it's hurting a bit.
Yeah, that definitely looked like a misclick. I don't think he was actually hoping to get Snute caught up that off guard. To be able to warp into depths and do more damage, but maybe he was thinking he could. I don't know. Snute is actually double expanding, taking a base in the middle as well. I mean, once you're up to a certain drone count, there are a lot of situations where you just have so much, so many minerals, but not the equal amount of gas. I mean, like every race has those problems, and ideally, you don't,
Well,
but it just happens.
What I'm thinking about that I like about this is usually this Archon harass is followed up by either a big push or really greedy play. Snoot's been pretty relentless with his links to duck in and duck out, so he knows it's not greedy play. And if he knows one of these bases is going to get knocked down, having another one to fall back to isn't such a bad idea. The concern I have, though, is that ShoWTimE's not exactly following this up with nothing. There's a couple of Immortals with this. There's, of course, the Archons inside the War Prism, and plenty of Force Fields available, too.
Yeah. Well, ShoWTimE could still push and maybe even kill a base and then duck back out, even as he expands to a fourth. So there's always a little bit of danger taking an expansion in the middle of the map like this. Is Daybreak gets smaller and smaller as you expand toward each other, and the rocks are broken down. But it's actually ended up being like probably a wiser move from Snute. He does probably need a few more drones to even like really utilize 4 bases, much less 5 bases. But no, okay, there he's making them now. He doesn't know about ShoWTimE's fourth, but I think just like the lack of a push around about now.
It's got to give some indication, yeah.
Yeah. Because then usually there's some type of poke or prod. This was the attack that I was talking about, where like he doesn't really have to commit to this, but if he sees an opportunity, I mean, like if there's really not that many banelings, or if Snute just used his larva to get to like a greedy amount of drones, then this is still a pretty good army. And you got the Archons, if worst comes to worst. You got Force Fields, actually, if worst comes to worst. And you also have Blink finishing up.
Well, as the push comes in, the Force Fields aren't too bad. Most of the Crucibles land on the army, so nothing to break those Force Fields and let loose the Banelings. But the Banelings, as they charge in, don't really hit the sentries. They hit the Stalkers. Bit of a problem now for Snute. He's finding himself without units to fight with. The Archon's still holding strong, the Immortal's still shelling away, and Snoot's army just falls apart. GG. ShoWTimE.
Gosh.
Dominate game number 1.
Yeah. I mean, those Banelings did not hit the prime targets, but they did a lot of splashing, which was quite worried. ShoWTimE was being kind of reckless. But, Snute just really did not... I don't think he had, like, that perfect Zerg game, which is to say, like, he got to 4 bases, not necessarily 5, but 4 bases kind of quick with, like, a lot of drones, and then just, like, really powered up with mass Roach Baneling. Because we know Snute can get powered up, and just, like, get maxed out with, like, so many Banelings. But that was not one of those games. They're actually, like, the armor supplies weren't that different.
Oh, by the way, during that game, gotta give some love. The awesome folks behind the StarCraft Twitter retweeted about today's matches, so make sure you stop by over there and give it a retweet. Now, second map is going to be Echo. We'll give them a moment to get this up. I'm actually just going to be right back real quick and hack out my lungs. So this is not a commercial break, but here's the bracket screen while I go sit off to the side real quick.
Amazing screen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on today, guys. I guess part of this is like I did wake up 3 hours ago, but there's been no necessity to use my voice until now, so the permanent frog that's residing in my throat is being a little annoying, I guess. Hopefully it's not coming through the stream. I think my micromanagement's been on point. It's better than my latter games, at least, with that mute button.
Oh, you.
Anyways, another thing to talk about, and this is absolutely sponsor related, so while we get everyone into this lobby, like, hashtag at and all that, we're actually really close to our watch goal. I woke up this morning with, I think we're at 29 watches sold still. We've got 32 now, and we're at $874 raised out of 1,000. That's fantastic. I really want to throw more awesome tournaments and content with your guys, and we will once we hit that goal. So make sure to check out the website. Consider buying one of these fantastic watches. Here's a quick look what mine looks like in real life, so it's not some shim sham flimmy flam scam. Actually really nice. Very high quality.
Wow. What a description.
When I started doing that, I didn't even intend for it to rhyme, but it just kind of happened. So cool.
I don't think I've seen Snute's portrait yet. So that's an interesting face he's making.
Him and ShoWTimE, yeah. I wish they would. I almost wish this was like a reversal. Like Snute was using ShoWTimE, so ShoWTimE was using Snute's or something weird.
Yeah.
This kind of goes back to what we talked about before, where I really wish players would upload their own custom clan tags, where their decal next to the Nexus would be, them looking fine for game number 1, but then change it and have them smiling or sad depending on if game 1 went for win or loss.
Too much micro.
It is. Anyways, guys, real quick before we get into this, make sure to go check out all the stuff we just finished talking about at woodwatches.com/base. If you're in Twitch chat, type YORD to enter into the giveaway today. This will last for the next day and a half. 3 winners will be drawn to win $100 watch codes, redeemable over on woodwatches.com. But also, don't forget about your classic old giveaway command, because this is going to be a giveaway we're running separate from that up until the day before Christmas. So make sure to get into both whilst available. But getting into game number 2, he took a kick-ass victory in game 1. Is going to be the blue Protoss ShoWTimE.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Liquid Snute.
So while the first part of this may not have been the best for Snute, I just want to point out that I actually really love watching what ShoWTimE did. I feel like what he did is like the most predictable thing next to Terran's going 3 Rax Reaper right now. And Snute, you know, he had the Spore Crawlers down. I think he thought he was going to handle that a lot better. But watching ShoWTimE actually just straight up hold position in the mineral lines with those DTs and gut the drones, it's just fantastic. That takes some balls.
Yeah, 8 drones early on is pretty painful. Again, like when the ideal situation is actually not taking any damage at all and forcing the Archons, and then only losing Lings of the Archons. Like that's kind of like the best situation I've ever seen with defending against that push. But also, I mean, Snute, he got to those 5 bases, but when you look at his drone count, it was still at 59, which isn't like terrible, but it's also not super fantastic. I think there's probably a problem of him not really knowing when that push was coming. So there's too much of like the build an army, build drones, build an army, build drones. It just like, you know, it's kind of the only thing I think of that he would get squashed just by ShoWTimE pushing in off of, well, fully saturated 3 bases and a 4th base on the way, right? Like it wasn't like it was like a super hardcore all in following up the DT drop, which can also happen. And I think that's why Snute was just kind of like a little underprepared the later the game went, because he was also preparing for all these other possibilities. I mean, his scouting was decent. He was like checking the bases, but I actually don't know what triggers the Protoss to push out. Sometimes, well, I mean, sometimes literally 2 base all in, right? Sometimes it's a 3rd base, but they don't actually build any more probes of the 3rd base. You know, there's like tricky versions of it too. So I like can definitely see if Snute was just a little surprised it took so long, and then like you just don't have that much of an army when the time comes. It's really important to talk about because most likely ShoWTimE's going to do something similar. And if like Snute does the mistake of thinking, well, I guess he didn't push until the 4th base last game, I'll just like drone super hard, and then ShoWTimE actually does a 2 base version or like a pseudo 3 base version, he could die from that too.
Certainly something to look out for. Again, with this sort of extra bit of SimCity, I love this, and I would love to get behind the mind and pick the brains of players as to why this is happening, but we saw this first with the Koreans and now echoed again by ShoWTimE. Borgie B also hit us up with a couple of bits worth of cheers. Says multi-twitching, base trade, and dark. Not a bad Sunday morning. And then he comments that I have black lung from the StarCraft 2 salt mines. Well, that's probably an accurate description. The salty part, at least. I don't know. I've not been outside. It's been snowing. Like, I should not be sick. I've been taking care of myself in like the 3 days we've had off.
I thought you were gonna be like, I haven't been outside. There's no way I got like, you know, black lung. Like, unless it's just a joke, Rifkin.
No, I literally got black lung. Yeah.
Do you care that the Viper got nerfed? Does it make you happy? And
I actually
salty?
haven't had a chance to play yet. I specifically did everything I could to stay off of StarCraft, and even then I still played some co-op. Like, I tried to make my days off specifically like days off, but I've not had a chance to play against the new Viper yet. I don't have strong opinions yet, but I'm curious to see how impactful it is. Things look good. I'm saying this with a smile on my face.
Okay. Well, the War Prism's coming out here, and of course it will be the DT drop. We have Lings in position, which I guess was sort of missing last time. I think it was just the Queens for the first 5 seconds. But, I mean, more importantly, like, more than just, like, 5 Lings here. Plus, ShoWTimE could just see this and turn them into Archons and come back later. So Snute also has, like, a couple Roaches on the way now, but... I guess a couple popped from the 3rd base, so never mind those. That was pretty decent from Snute there. So not 8 drones going down, but ShoWTimE's still trying to make the DTs work a little bit before trying with the Archons. Ends up getting to the main base, and once again finding a mineral line kind of without defenses, but this time only 2 drones went down as Snute realized he didn't have to pull the drones into it. I mean, there's always that fear that they'll go straight for the spore crawler and you're still in trouble.
Yeah, I like that reaction too. We saw that game 1 too. Like you pulled all the drones immediately and held position. You want to make sure that there was like as little chance of it getting focused down as possible. DT's hit for like what 50 something a swipe. Spore crawler goes down real quick, especially if there's more than one on him.
Yeah. Yep. ShoWTimE following up with. I mean, that's much quicker Blink, I'm pretty sure, because Blink finished up with +2 last game. So, again, this is like what I'm talking about. There's so many different pushes.
Oh my god! Ugh.
Dear Lord. He's going to get maybe the queens. Well, the lanes are being too much of a problem.
Oh, that's so risky to go back in, but he gets that Archon out with 1 health left on the Warp Prism.
Jesus.
That's insane!
That Warp Prism just feels kind of like too dangerous to push with now, though.
I know.
Like,
this
seriously,
is like you almost want to just attack it to free up supply and build a new one, right? Like 1 health. I mean, okay, the 100 shields will regenerate, sure, but 1 health is not a reliable amount of health. This is like this thing's rickety. The engines are like sputtering every second. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. No Protoss is gonna actually like kill it to like make an excuse to rebuild it, but it's almost like the mentality of like you're full, but you don't just give away food. You know, just throw away food, so you just use your body as a trash bag. That's like what this Warp Prism feels like. Like, you probably should just kind of throw it away and build a new one, but nope, he's probably going to keep that forever, and he'll probably use it with the push. Like, 1 corrosive bile shot's going to kill it.
Yeah, and if we're Zerg, of course, we would say that, of course, it'll never die either. Balance wine. But sincerely, we'll see what seriously rather, we'll see what he can get done with this. I'm not sure it'll be that much more, as you said. It's quite dangerous to stick around with it. Got some resubs coming in. Got to give some love out to CPP Maniac as well as Sorted Blair. Thank you both so much for coming back to the channel.
Nice.
Oh yeah, this has already been poked out by the Queen. I mean, like, if this takes any damage on those shields before you get to engage, you gotta disengage.
This is entirely getting some units out of position, which I don't necessarily mind as long as he was, like, totally, like, still microing the Warp Prism, still the hotkey ready to go. But it looks like, even by sending some of the army away from the 4th base, it was too big of a Zerg army to push in with ShoWTimE's tiny little army. It's a very functional army, It's got a lot of force fields, and that Immortal would have been able to pop up quite a few roaches if it was a smaller one, but
I don't know what's causing the double alerts, by the way. So sorry about that again to everybody, but thank you to Aquarius XXX for the 11 months, as well as Bractimus for 22. Those banlings don't have speed yet, and Snute has actually made swarm hosts here, Zombie Grub. Like, not a misclick of 1, but 7 intentional swarm hosts. This is going to be really interesting.
I guess since he defended the first push, he's feeling like he can actually do something here.
So the earlier you make the swarm host, the more justified they are. It should be noted, while it wasn't the most recent patch, they were toned down in cost. They're not so expensive to make anymore. That being said, they've still got a pretty massive cooldown on their ability. Was like 40 seconds? 43 seconds, excuse me. So that's roughly about once a minute you're going to get an attack, and every so many minutes you'll get 2. But the point is that you're really... the sooner you make them, the bigger the chance that they're actually worth having around. There's no way you make these 40 minutes in the game and expect to get good use out of them. My thoughts are they can fly over the force fields. It's free units as well. Either way, a couple of them going to go down immediately. Doesn't feel good, man. Snute walks them past those force fields. Corsair Gear's going to land. The ranged Locust actually getting some pretty nice damage done. And this is going to push ShoWTimE back, but it's only so he can use the force fields, and now Snute's stuck behind this wall.
Yeah, and of course the swarm was due to that timer, so Snute's going to push in again. He's going to have +2 when he pushes in too, and those Archons all lived.
Yeah, now Snute's got a couple of Locusts still holstered and ready, but really not enough. In fact, already losing 3 of the Swarm Hosts. Not feeling so good. The Swarm Hosts, of course, on the front line because AI is cool like that. Priorities, man. Banlings and Lings going to run the top of the army. There's nothing for the Banlings to really explode on. It's a lot of Stalkers. He's got +1 on the melee. This might not be so bad if he had more Lings, but unfortunately, he's already out of juice. He does manage to get the Banlings in and focus on the sentries, but another round of Warpins comes out of ShoWTimE. Swarm Hosts are off cooldown. We're going to launch some more Locusts. Got some reinforcing ones coming in, too. I mean, I love the idea of free units, but I'm not sure how far they'll go. If there was a lot of them, I would be a lot more convinced. But this is like 4 Locusts at a time. Honestly, not that scary.
Well, I think like definitely scarier is the 50 Lings on the way, and they almost have +2, and that's going to scare away the Stalkers, hopefully.
The Ravagers are
Actually,
almost holding, but the Ravagers don't have a lot of health, so taking head-on fights like this not looking so great. Locusts are still more than half their cooldown away. Drones get pulled on top of the Immortal. It's microed back in the Warp Prism. Snoot's doing everything he can to hold on to this. And you know what? His army is actually looking good. His drone count is looking good. He pushes ShoWTimE back, and even though ShoWTimE's on 4 bases, look at his tech list. It's Blinking +2. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that Snute doesn't have very good tech either, but he does have a Spire already done, and technically the Swarm Hosts are pretty far up the chain.
Yeah, I wish the Locusts would show up on the units lost tab. I'm curious how many have actually been used so far.
I don't know. Well, 5 would still be enough. Like, if he gives, like, get some breathing room and actually uses them to harass some of these bases, that is where they kind of shine. But ShoWTimE, even though he was, had to be pulled back there, he still went away with, like, a pretty good army, and I think he still has a good defensive position against Snoot's current army. Yeah.
I mean, I love that ShoWTimE's doing what he can with this. This is still the same Warp Prism from earlier, by the way, everybody. The 1 health Warp Prism, right? But I'm actually starting to think the Swarm House might not have been such a bad idea, as funny and wonky as that was. Because one of the other things I forgot about that we got to witness only at the start of the fight was the Locusts, they land from further away now. Instead of having to get pretty much right up in front of their target to land, they can actually land from a good chunk away. So I think if that was less panicked and Snute had a little bit more time on his side, I think we would have seen a lot more cool precision with the I guess, control on the Swarm House instead of sending them all to the front lines. Because things got awkward, and not necessarily because it was Snoot's fault. 1 DT over here on the left side, starting to rack up a couple of drone kills. Ugh, kind of sucks.
Yep, 8 go down. ShoWTimE's only down like 20, 30 army supply, and he's about to have good tech again.
Didn't
Storm.
I can't remember. Didn't they have their damage nerfed slightly, too? I can't remember.
Yes, I believe so. Because we compared like killing of the Nexus, and it just didn't go down as quickly, but it still went down pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's 10 damage a shot right now. I think it was like 16 or something before. I can't remember. But caught in the middle of the map. Some of the Swarm Hosts on the backside feels a little bit bad, man. They were just used on their Locusts. They're a bit useless for the time being. Snoot's 100 supply is more like 80, especially with so many of these Swarm Hosts unable to fight. So a bunch of them go down right away. And oh, there's just so many Archons. There's so many Zealots, and they've got charged this time. Snoot's army just gets wiped off the face of Echo, and this doesn't look good. GG.
There's also some pretty good micro in that last battle there. Like, the split between the Zealots and the rest of the army for the Curse of Battle is, like, not hit very much. And, of course, the Banelings didn't actually, like... It didn't seem to get the heart of the Zealot army. That surround was really good by ShoWTimE. But it's also just ShoWTimE is looking baller. I said in the most recent patch, but then I corrected myself. But it looks like even in the most recent patch, he's still pretty damn good at this game.
Yeah. Well, that's going to send us to a commercial break. That's in ShoWTimE to the Winners Bracket series. So you'll see him a little bit later on down the line, guys. But next up will be Euthermal versus a Laser. These are both of the players who won their qualifiers. They've also already won $200 in watch codes on top of whatever they get here today. So they might just be able to buy one of their relatives or themselves a really fancy Christmas gift. Either way, we're going to go to a small break, and we'll see you guys soon.